Open your eyes.
No, I don't wanna. They've been burning for 2 months straight now. I'm opening my ears instead. Well, wait a minute. Is that? So, the 5th wave of Mario Kart DLC came out, and I gotta say, it's pretty good! The Booster Course Pass DLC has had some controversy for sure. There are some tracks that have looked pretty bad, there are some tracks that have looked okay, and then there have been some that have looked pretty good, mainly with these last 3 waves. I have enjoyed all the waves regardless of how well the tracks are designed, but this one has probably got to be my favorite one so far, I gotta say. I'm sure some of you are new here and read the title of this video, and I'll explain what I mean in a second here, but for now, let's review the tracks themselves one by one. First up, we have Athens, wow, Dash, and this is one that really caught my interest because I don't really play a lot of Mario Kart Tour, so this was basically a new track for me. The track, like most of the Tour tracks, has 3 completely different laps, and the start of the first lap is completely different from the other 2, which makes it a lot more refreshing. It's one of the few city tracks in the game that looks really nice too. It's got some gliding sections, some half pipes, and I particularly like the part at the end where you have to get on some speed boosts and dodge these fallen rocks like in Rock Mountain. You do have to be careful when you get up the staircase to reach the end of each lap though, because you can crash right into a pillar. So overall, pretty decent start to the wave, and the music is pretty much identical to how it was in Tour, except it's just live performed. Which that's exactly how they should have done it in my opinion. Moving on. Next up we have Daisy Cruiser. I'm a huge Mario Kart Double Dash guy, so I was pretty interested when I saw that this actually made the wave, and I was surprised that the transition to Mario Kart 8 was pretty seamless. It's easily one of, if not the best looking tracks in the entire wave. It's a lot more colorful than it was in Double Dash, which gives it more of a summery feel. And speaking of summery, can we talk about the violins that were added to the music? Everything just feels so much more alive in this track. If I were to give it one critique though, I do feel like the tables or whatever in the hallway section shit should move all the way to one side, like they did in Double Dash when they moved back and forth. But even then, some of them stop right in your pathway, so it still offers some bit of challenge or whatever. Also, the tube section with the shortcut, that's way more fun to do, mainly because of the eel and the clams down there. Don't eat me up! Next up we have a real nice surprise, which was Moonview Highway. This track was announced in Tour not too long back, and many of us were pretty sure that it wasn't gonna make it because of how many city tracks we already have in the Booster Course Pass. But thankfully it did, and that's great, because this is one of my favorite Mario Kart Wii tracks. What really won me over about this version of the track is the lighting that they chose to use. Some of the color schemes in the Booster Course tracks look a little washed out and the lighting is a little sharp. But this track feels way more vibrant and actually way more graphically detailed than most of the city tracks we've gotten. I was also a bit concerned that there wasn't going to be any oncoming traffic. When you play the first wave of the Booster Course Pass with Shroom Ridge, all of the cars move in the same direction that you're moving, instead of one lane of cars coming towards you. So I was worried that they were going to nerf that about this track as well, but no. The music is also a complete fucking banger, bro, and the city sounds very, very faithful to the Wii version. If there was one minor thing I would critique about the beat, it's that it can be a little bit much at times, and sometimes it's hard to even hear the melody with the drums going over it the entire time. But either way, this track is the bomb. Car. Next up we have Massive Shit Miles, or Squeaky Clean Sprint. This is the one track in this wave that's gonna have the debate going of, it's a tour track, or no, it's a new track, when it's both. This is easily one of the most creative Mario Kart tracks I've seen in a long time. I like everything in terms of the attention to detail that this course has. From the duck with the Mario hat on it, to the Yoshi shampoo, to a giant shelf having 2 layers on top, depending on where you want to go, to the spongy rail that I can never get my ass to land on. I do have to ask though, why is there this weird connected plug-in fan in the bathroom? Does whoever's this bathroom is not have like any built-in fans or something? And the soap alongside the fan should be like blown away or something like that, right? I'm surprised it doesn't make you slip, it just kinda makes you slow down like it's Splatoon ink or something. That and your tires change to purple. The music in this track is an absolute banger as well, as pretty much all of Tour's music has been when ported over here. Also on the second and third lap, water shoots up from the toilet bowl. That's not sanitary. Moving on to the Cherry Cup, we have LA Laps, another track that I'm not super familiar with because I still don't play Mario Kart Tour. It was nice to see just how much this track had to offer. I was worried that it was just going to be a typical beach track based on everything that I had seen. But nope, there's a beach, a baseball stadium, and a construction site that seems to be really misplaced after stuff had got destroyed. Thanks, North Korea. The most obvious glow-up about this track is the music. It sounds very nice with all the live instrumentals playing, and thank God they got rid of that god-for-fucking-sake shitty-ass vocal thing. About as shitty as the state of California itself, yeah? But now it sounds like this. Only took you a couple years to do that, Nintendo. Good job! Sunset Wilds is next, and this one overall is pretty solid as well. I didn't expect anything fantastic of it. I mean, it's a Game Boy Advance track. They've milked those to death in their simple layouts. I will say, one of the first things that I noticed about this track is that the road is rather slick, almost like you're driving on ice, but not as extreme. I think this is because of the textures that they use. They're pretty similar to Waluigi Stadium, which also had this. I do kind of like it for the section with the Shy Guys though, because it makes them harder to dodge. One of my biggest gripes with Mario Kart 8 is that it's way easier than past installments, so any kind of difficulty like this is always appreciated. But of course, you know I have to ask, why is the sun not setting? God damn, Nintendo, it's literally the track's entire identity, right? It's Sunset Wilds? Maybe they should have renamed it to Sunlight Wilds instead. I remember getting to the third lap and realizing,
hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
It's a weird change. Maybe they'll even add it back in with the Wave 6 update, who knows. Hey, at the very least they didn't literally reuse the same. And now we move on to Koopa Cape. My god, speaking of changes, this was one of my favorite tracks on the Wii as a kid. And it's pretty good here too. I'm not really a huge fan of the colors or anything like that. They seem pretty bright and tacky. I do think the water should be less white and more blue like it was on the Wii. And when you get to the tube section, it feels completely different. It has these half pipes. How? And the zappers and the stream have been completely removed. I'm not super upset by it. I still own Mario Kart Wii and I can always go back and play the original. And change can usually be a good thing too. But again, like with Sunset Wilds, it's kind of an odd change because it wasn't super broke to begin with. And I think keeping the music faithful was also a little bit of a letdown. Just the main theme itself sounds too similar to the Wii for my liking. Feels a little washed out, if you will. And finally, we have easily the best track in this wave, Vancouver Velocity. This track feels like Ice Ice Outpost, Maple Treeway, and a city track all in one to me. I also found it fun how they decided to add anti-grav on the bridge section. This is actually the first city track from Tour to feature anti-gravity at all, and the remix is just the greatest. This section with the strings completely won me back after Tears of the Kingdom. I especially like this remix because now it feels much more alive. There's a lot happening in this track, and the tour version feels a little bit chill with the music being the way it is. Really goes to show you that jazzing it up with a live band can really do so much. There's this other section in the song that uses an iwi, and a lot of people are shitting on it. Little do they know, change is good. And that's honestly really the biggest problem I had with modern Nintendo that this Mario Kart DLC really exposed and fixed for me. Nintendo needs to have more change in whatever they're doing, because that keeps it refreshing. And I know there are still going to be those people out there who say, oh, but change too much is just bad because it's not like the original, and I still love the original. Guess what, fuckface? The original is not going anywhere. I literally said throughout this video that I still plan to go back to Mario Kart Wii because I love that version of Koopa Cape, and always will. But I don't think it's complete trash in this version just because it's different. And this is something that Nintendo needs to understand. Splatoon 3 was literally Splatoon 2. Tears of the Kingdom was literally Breath of the Wild with a shitty story on top of it. Think about how special those games would have been if they were completely different. It would actually make sense to have 2 games from those franchises on the Switch then. And yeah, some of the stuff in the Booster Course Pass is similar to try to be faithful to the originals, but try to look at it this way. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has 48 courses in it, and with this Booster Course Pass, there are another 48 courses in it, meaning that you're getting an identical Mario Kart 8-like game. How much is the Booster Course Pass worth? $25. So how the hell can you say that Splatoon 3 and Tears of the Kingdom are new games just because of their size, when this is basically the same thing, but it's a DLC? And the future is super bright with this amount of change. Look at Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's not just a new Super Mario Bros. Sequel. There's so much crazy shit that happens in that trailer. Go and watch it. This is definitely my favorite wave of Mario Kart DLC so far. Wave 3 was a pretty close second, and Wave 4 is also pretty good. But this one just kicked it up another notch. Hopefully, we'll get an even more perfect wave in the final wave. Guys, thanks for watching. The future is super bright with Nintendo right now. I will definitely be working on some sort of mashup or two with these tracks. But until then, subscribe for whatever may come next.